हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, 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 जमुना तीर वनचारी, जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, हे गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, 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 यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। 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 गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। जायं विष्णुपद परमहंस परविजगाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद् श्रील अभय चंद्रानंद भक्ति वेदांत साईं महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्रील ठाकुर हरिदास की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौड़ भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा देवी की जय। यमुनामयी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी रानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। इस्कॉन बीबीथी संस्थापक आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौ प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Who will translate? Someone will translate. Oh, in the back. Okay, so I can just speak. Okay. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtapraishva Bhadresho Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishne Swadhamopagate Dharmajnanadhibhi saha Kalau nashtadrishamesha Puranarko dhunotitaham. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, entitled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. And today we'll discuss text 10. I'll just recite the Sanskrit. Bhagavan api bharata tad upanītārhanah sukta vākenātitaram udita gunaganavatara sujayaha priyavratam adi purushas tam sadayah hasavaloka iti hovacha. Bhagavan, Lord Brahma, api, moreover, Bharata, O King Parikshit, tat, by them, Upanita, brought forward, Arhana, worshipable paraphernalia, Sukta, according to Vedic etiquette, Vakena, by language, Atitaram, highly, Udita, praised, Gunagana, qualities, Avatara, because of the descent, Sujayaha, whose glories, Priyavratam, unto Priyavrata, Adi Purushaham, the original person, Tam, unto him, Sadaya, with compassion, Hasa, smiling, Avalokaham, whose looking, Iti, thus, Ha, certainly, Uvacha, said. Translation: My dear King Parikshit, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narad Muni, Prince Priyavrata, and Swayambhuva came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language, according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavrata, and looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows. Do you want to repeat? Yes. My dear King Parikshit, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narad Muni, Prince Priyavrata, and Swayambhuva came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language, according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavrata and, looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. That Lord Brahma descended from Satyaloka to see Priyavrata indicates that the matter was very serious. Narad Muni had come to advise Priyavrata about the value of spiritual life, knowledge, renunciation, and bhakti. And Lord Brahma knew that Nada's instructions were very impressive. Therefore, unless Lord Brahma personally went to Gandhamadana hill to request Priyavrata, Lord Brahma knew that Prince Priyavrata would not accept his father's order. Brahma's purpose was to break Priyavrata's determination. Therefore, Brahma first looked upon Priyavrata with compassion. His smile and compassionate features also indicated that although Brahma would request Priyavrata to accept household life, Priyavrata would not be out of touch with devotional service. By the blessings of a Vaishnava, everything is possible. This is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as Kripa Siddhi, or perfection attained simply by the blessings of a superior person. One usually becomes liberated and perfect by executing the regulative principles set down in the Shastras. Nonetheless, many persons have achieved perfection simply by the blessings of a spiritual master or superior. Priyavrata was the grandson of Lord Brahma, and as joking competition sometimes takes place between grandson and grandfather, in this case also, Priyavrata was determined to remain in meditation, whereas Brahma was determined that he ruled the universe. Thus, Brahma's affectionate smile and glance meant, "My dear Priyavrata, you have decided not to accept household life, but I have decided to convince you that you must accept it." Actually, Brahma had come to praise Priyavrata for his high standard of renunciation, austerity, penance, and devotion, so that he would not be deviated from devotional service, even though he would accept household life. In this verse, one important word is suktavakena, by Vedic hymns. In the Vedas, there is the following prayer to Lord Brahma: Hiranyagarbha samavartatagre bhutasya jata patireka asit. Brahma was received with the appropriate Vedic hymns, and because he was welcomed according to the Vedic etiquette, he was very pleased. Om Jnanatimirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear King Parikshit, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narad Muni, Prince Priyavrata, and Swayambhuva Manu came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language, according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavrata, and looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows. Even though this verse is really only a conjunction with what follows, still there are a number of significant items, and Srila Prabhupada discusses them in his purport. First of all, Srila Prabhupada notes that this was a serious matter because whenever you have a conflict in which two parties are apparently equally determined, intransigent, then you have to appeal to a higher authority. Higher authority. That is the theistic approach to conflict resolution. So, Brahma, the second thing is that Brahma descended from Satyaloka. And we've already heard in previous verses some of Brahma's opulence. As he descended on his carrier, the great swan, all the residents of the planets named Siddhaloka, Gandharvaloka, Sadhyaloka, and Charanaloka, as well as great sages and demigods flying in their different airplanes, assembled within the canopy of the sky to receive Lord Brahma and worshipped him. He appeared just like the full moon surrounded by illuminating stars. All this spectacular display for Prince Priyavrata Maharaj. So, it was a serious matter, as Srila Prabhupada said. Now, how was he received by these personalities? All three of them, great personalities. Narad Muni, incomparable personality. Swayambhuva Manu, and Prince Priyavrata, in his own right, such a great personality that the 7 divisions of this material world were created by the rims of his chariot only. So these are not ordinary persons. This is not an ordinary event. Therefore, what is the word used? Yatochita. In the commentaries, the word is used. As is appropriate, they were using very high language to receive Lord Brahma and very affectionate, sweet language. Madhuravakyena, and here the word is used, Suktavakyena. So, Srila Prabhupada is quoting Mahanarayana Upanishad in his purport here. Hiranyagarbha samavartatagre bhutasya jataha patir eka asit. There's only one person who is the Lord of all the creatures and who therefore stands out above all of them, and that is Hiranyagarbha, Lord Brahma. In this material world, every truth is contextual. If we've read the 11th canto, then we know that Krishna tells virtually the same thing to Uddhava. Every truth has to be taken in its own context. Sometimes in the Western countries, we find that our Christian friends approach us and say, "Don't you know that Jesus Christ said that I am the only way?" And of course, we reply to that in his context, he was the only way. At that time, in that place and circumstance, no one was as powerful a preacher as he was, and therefore people are still following him even today. So in a similar way, this is not false praise of Lord Brahma, and it's not equating Lord Brahma also with the supreme absolute truth. Whenever we find contradiction or apparent contradiction within the Vedic literature, because we do find both. We find apparent contradictions, and we also find genuine contradictions. That's an important point to note, because the very nature of the absolute truth is that it is achintya bheda abheda. So there will be contradictions. We don't need to be bent out of shape when we find contradictions. But this is only an apparent contradiction, that Lord Brahma is addressed as the Lord of all creatures and the supreme Pati in this material world. That is not incorrect to say that. And it's being given Shruti substantiation here from the Shrutis. This quote is given in his commentary by Shripad Vijayadhwaj Tirtha in his commentary on this verse. But Prabhupada sees fit to quote it. So, now, Srila Prabhupada also paraphrases Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who says that, my dear Priyavrata, your praudhi, do you all understand this word? Do you have this in Hindi? I don't know. Praudha. Yeah, so your maturity, your confidence, your assurance, your enthusiasm, your exertion, your pride even, your dignity, your perfection, maybe even your pompousness, all these things all in one word, praudhi. You have displayed your praudhi by maintaining up until this point that you will not be married. And at the same time, it's very clear that your father wants you to be married. Swayambhuva Manu, how could he ask otherwise? Narad Muni was already here. The Acharyas commenting on this verse point out. Narad Muni, we know, he has a tendency to preach to people, and especially preach to young men, and steer them towards renunciation. This will delight the brahmacharis, but it cannot delight the householders. And we've already seen what happened with regards to Daksha when Narad Muni did this. With many tens of thousands of sons, can you imagine? The brahmacharis maybe cannot imagine, but the householders can certainly imagine. They know very well what is the trouble to raise children, and 10,000 children. To turn 10,000 children into men, that is really a task. So after all that work, then Narad Muni comes and finds these fine young men who have been perfectly trained up. Govinda. They say this in Tamil. When somebody's finished, they say Govinda. Materially finished. Right off. So this is the danger. And of course, Swayambhuva Manu could see this danger, even Brahma could see this danger, therefore he has come himself in all his great opulence, and it's only appropriate if someone is coming to you surrounded by siddhas and charanas and sages and all flying banners and great glory, what do? You have to receive him with august language, like this Mahanarayana Upanishad. Here this all only indicated in summary, Sukta Vakena. And Udita Gunagana Avatara Sujayaha. He is praised because in fact he is an avatara of the Supreme Lord, Brahma. Sometimes even Vishnu himself takes the position of Brahma to fulfill that role. Otherwise, he's at least what one of the commentators calls Avesh Avatara. He's empowered, but he's empowered for what purpose? To manage, the mode of passion. And Swayambhuva Manu, is Prajapati. Prajapati means also passion. So this is Brahma's department. He has to come. Now, sometimes in this world, things are so difficult. We live in a complex world, and it's not always very easy. Sometimes you may be doing the right thing, and you may be motivated, you may have the right motivation, and you may be instructed by the right persons, and still you have to suffer because of your activity. The world is like that. Likhitam api lalate pronchitam kaha samartha. Hitopadesh tells us, whatever is written on your forehead, you cannot escape it. Wherever you go, your forehead goes with you, and there seems to be some sort of indelible barcode or something written on everyone's forehead. Only the devatas can read that, and they dispense our karma accordingly. So this is daiva, this is kala. We cannot escape. So we've already heard, I think, Srila Prabhupada has probably paraphrased Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's understanding of this situation. He says that when devotees have to undergo suffering, there's usually 3 reasons, which ultimately come down to 2 reasons. One reason is that devotee may have some karma that he requires to play itself out. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. For those who participate in devotional service, Brahma Samhita tells us, the karma is burned up, but not necessarily all of the karma. We say that especially when we take initiation into Krishna consciousness, all of our karma is burnt up in the fire, and then from that point on we should be clean, but still, very regularly we experience that we have to undergo suffering, or somebody that we know has to undergo suffering, even great suffering. So Jiva Goswami has explained this in his commentary on Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. He says, sadhya, the word is used sadhya, immediately you become free from sinful reactions. Sadhya, savanaya kalpate, for example. So he gives the example, if you stack 100 palm leaves and then push a long needle through it, those needles that we use to make garlands, you've all seen long. If you push a needle through that stack of palm leaves, the needle goes through the stack immediately. But no, it doesn't. It actually goes through the 100th leaf, and then it goes through the 99th leaf. Then it goes to the 98th leaf, 97th leaf, adi. So in the same way, Jiva Goswami says, we become freed from our karma through Krishna, just by chanting the holy name or taking initiation in Krishna consciousness, but we still have to experience some degree of our karma because it takes time. The problem is that our sense of time is very much conditioned by the body that we happen to be inhabiting and identifying with. So we think that 100 years is, for example, a really, really long time. And if you're from America, then you think 5 minutes is a really, really long time. At least here in India, people are patient. If darshan, if you don't have darshan, then you can wait for some time. So time is relative. And similarly, Krishna may or may not eradicate all of our karma at one time. So this is the point. If we benefit through the harsh treatment of certain krura grahas, cruel planets, such as Shani or maybe Rahu Ketu, then Krishna may let that influence continue just because we have to learn somehow. Somebody's going to have to teach us. Might as well be these demigods. They also need to be engaged after a while, after all. So that's one reason a devotee has to suffer. It may not be that all of his karma is immediately destroyed. Something is still left. Another reason is, and actually the usual reason, the primary reason, the default reason we can say, that a devotee has to undergo suffering is what? Who knows? Anything else? Offenses. Aparadha. Because we commit offenses. Aparadha sahasrani kriyante aharanisham maya ityadi. We commit offenses. We commit offenses to the deity. We commit offenses to the holy name. We commit offenses to the Vaishnavas. God forbid we may commit offenses to our spiritual master, to the holy Dham, etc. We are offenders. This is the world for offenders. And this is actually the major reason. So karma, it may be your karma, it may more likely be a result of offenses. And the third reason is even more frightening. He says that if for some inscrutable reason Krishna or Krishna's devotees want you to suffer, then what can you do? Mare Krishna rakhe ke, rakhe Krishna mare ke. You cannot deal with that. There's nothing you can do except tolerate it. Let it pass. And what does that teach you? It teaches you how to become more tolerant than a tree, how to become more humble than a blade of grass, how to maybe offer a little more respect, and how to not expect any honor for yourself. So all three of these modes of suffering that even devotees, even sometimes pure devotees, have to undergo, that they're all sanctioned by Lord Krishna. They're all sanctioned because not a blade of grass waves in the wind without his permission. Maya tyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam ityadi. So this is a hard pill to swallow. It's not easy for the ego to accommodate this fact. But this is just the way it is. So this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says about, in connection with this passage about Priyavrata. Because remember, he did not want to get married. Because he was afraid, now I've got some knowledge, I've got some detachment, these things are very useful for devotional service. Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga. See? So he thought, this is not favorable for me to give these things up, because these things are very useful. And he was afraid that if I become associated with the material energy, then I will become attached, because what happens with whatever you associate with? What happens? Sangat sanjayate? Yes, this is what he was afraid of. And that, in fact, happened. He took the right instructions from the right personalities. He surrendered, which was the right thing for him to do. Still, he suffered, you see. But it was all part of Krishna's will, just as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also gives the examples of Jaya Vijaya. We have them in front of the door here. You can touch their feet on the way in. All the great devotees of the Lord, but because Lord Vishnu desired to play with them, they had no say in the matter. He gave them a choice. 3 births as demons, 100 births as devotees. Your choice. But you're going to the material world because that's what I want. Though Krishna can be a little bit hard sometimes. This is why the devotees in Vrindavan, they take exclusive shelter of Srimati Radharani instead. Because, number one, she's a little bit more soft, being feminine energy. And secondly, they also recognize that Srimati Radharani is, like us, a devotee. After Krishna went away to Mathura and basically didn't come back, Srimati Radharani's friends approached her And they told her, look, he has ruined your life. You gave him everything that you had, and now he's left you high and dry. He's in Mathura. He's no doubt enjoying with the women there. He's an abuser, we would say in modern terms. Me too. So, why don't you just forget about him? He's no good. You're better. You deserve better than him. This is what they would say to her, Lalita and the others. This is according to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's mentioned. Also, the Padyavali commentary is there. So she said, "Yes, I know. It's true. He's Lamparta." Lamparta is a pretty strong word. Ashlishyava paradatam pinashtamam adarshanat manamahatam karotuva yathata tathava viratatu lamparto mat prananathastu sevanapara. But he's mat prananatha. There's nothing else I can do. I cannot but think of him. He is the only Lord. No one else can fill his position. This is what it is. This is not an easy thing for us to accept as conditioned souls. We have a rebellious tendency, and we have an envious tendency, and we all want to be independent of the Lord. Therefore, the example Srimati Radharani gives. That's another matter. But the point is that Srimati Radharani understands that Krishna can be difficult. And therefore we can take shelter of her, and she will be more sympathetic for us. So, these are high things. They're actually beyond me. But Priyavrata, Srila Prabhupada says, this was a joking exchange, but it was a serious exchange also. Because it's obvious that Lord Brahma also, although he had such high esteem for Priyavrata Maharaj, and in fact came to praise Priyavrata Maharaj, but also he thought that such a person is the kind of person who really should be managing this material world, because otherwise, what do you get? Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, Li Jinping, etc. And we know what that's like. It's the same reason that Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight at Kurukshetra, because if you install this dharmic king, then everyone will be ultimately happy. This is the point. So we'll see what comes to pass. It's quite natural that Priyavrata Maharaj did not want to marry. Actually, no one is encouraged to marry in Vedic literature, unless it's necessary. And in this case, all of his Guru Janas seem to agree about this. Except maybe Narad Muni, we don't know because it's not explicitly stated here. But this was the case. Now, it's stated here also, Sadaya Hasavaloka. Lord Brahma was looking at Priyavrata Maharaj with compassion. And he was also smiling at the same time. He felt compassion for Priyavrata Maharaj because he's such a first-class brahmachari, I have to tell him to get married. And so he understood that Priyavrata Maharaj just had to be in that situation wherein you do the right thing for the right person and with the right motivations, and you still have to suffer. He knew Brahma can see everything. So he was smiling. He was looking at him with compassion, but he was also smiling because he was appreciative that this boy has great determination, but his determination is not as strong as mine. He said, you have your praudhi, you have your, however you want to call it. He said, but just see. Just look and see what my determination is. Just see what my pride is, what my confidence is. I'm going to make you do this. Brahma is smiling about this. So it's an interesting passage. Very interesting passage. Many, many things to discuss about this. But As I said, this is but a conjunction to the next verses, so we'll hear tomorrow what happens after this. For now, I'm going to stop, but if anybody has any questions or any comments, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So here is Bharat word for Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj is Bharat, who is listening Bhagavatam. Arjuna is also Bharat, who is listening Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So those, both, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, both are listened by Bharat.
Yes. The whole country is Bharat. Everybody here, Mahabharata. Hey Bharata, yeah, the word is used here. Okay. Bhagavan, the words are used Bhagavan and Adi Purusha. Govindam Adi Purusham, but here Brahma is also called Adi Purusha in the sense that we have already described. He's the original person in this universe. It's true. You cannot deny it. He is the first person here. And Bhagavan, you can call any respectable person, can also be Bhagavan because he possesses opulence, no doubt. We've already read in previous texts. He's surrounded by this opulence descending here to Gandhamarana Parvata, just for Priyavrata Maharaj, and therefore he's called Sujaya. He's glorious because he had such compassion that he came to see Priyavrata Maharaj. That was his respect for Priyavrata Maharaj. Normally the junior person will go to the superior person, not that he expects the superior person to come and see him. So this is, therefore Lord Brahma is called Sujaya. Although he is so glorious, his real glory is that he has this much love. Prabhupada mentions here. Out of love he came to see Priyavrata Maharaj, and he felt genuine compassion and also a little bit of humor at the same time because he had a thankless task. So, all right, anything else? Yes? Microphone.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, what was the age of Priyavrata Maharaj at this time?
Oh, I don't know. I could look it up, I suppose.
Actually, he was...
Marriageable age, put it that way.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that when Priyavrata was reluctant to take kingdom, and Swayambhu gave kingdom to Uttanpad, and his dynasty continued up to Daksha. So then Daksha went for austerities. At that time, there was nobody to have kingdom, to accept kingdom. So this was half of Swayambhu Manvantar. Mm-hmm. Half of Swayambhu Manvantar passed. Mm-hmm. So at that time, Swayambhu Manu came to Priyavrata that you have to accept this kingdom because his dynasty is supposed to rule the earth for the whole Manvantar. So half of Manvantar means 30 crore years is one Manvantar. So 15 crore years have passed.
That answers your question. He was a modern Indian. They don't get married until they're 45. And sometimes they don't want to get married at all until the women, sometimes we see that they don't want to get married at all until their body freaks out around that age. And then it's too late. What to do? Okay, so was another question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. As you were telling that there are some reasons why a devotee suffer. So you also mentioned that if Krishna wants a devotee to suffer, so what can be done? He has to just tolerate. So in that situation, doesn't the devotee should try to come out of that suffering?
Well, you can try, but you may not succeed. That's the point. There are two things, as I said. First thing is that whatever your karma is there, you cannot get over that, at least not without some special transcendental mercy. And that's possible, but most people have a hard time with it. But even worse than that is if Krishna personally desires for you to suffer. Then there's nothing anybody can do. You just have to eat it. So, this is actually significant because he says that Krishna may personally desire it, or Krishna's devotee may personally desire it. That's even more scary, isn't it? And we know there are two kinds of devotees. There are the pure devotees, and then there are the mixed devotees, the Sakama devotees. These demigods tend to be Sakama devotees, but if they want to mess you up somehow, they can. And sometimes they do. And we see throughout our Shastras that when somehow or other, if we interfere in some demigod's desire, then that demigod can really mess us up or even make us fall down if we're not pure devotees ourselves. So that's how I interpret it. Or, in the case of, like the sons of Kuvera, for example, Narad Muni cursed them, and they had to fall from their heavenly position for some time. Of course, it's understood that when you're cursed by a pure devotee, then it's actually a benediction in disguise. But that still doesn't make it easier to sit as a tree for many hundreds of years. Therefore, he say, more tolerant than a tree. And you thought it was all mystical world of Satchidananda when we chant Hare Krishna. Sometimes it's difficult. But even that difficulty when we're Krishna conscious, we see it as ecstasy, when we're really Krishna conscious. Therefore, we have to read Srila Prabhupada's books every day so that we can see what's really happening. Whatever this world appears to be, it's not necessarily the real world. The real world is devotional service. Krishna's desire, his representatives, our part in this great mission. This is our real concern. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Prabhuji, why at the first place Krishna wants somebody to suffer? Because he himself says that I am well-wisher, friend of everyone.
Yes. Therefore he says, it is inscrutable. Sometimes you can understand why, sometimes you cannot understand why. This is the nature of Hignya Swarat, Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't have to explain to anybody what he's doing. He can do anything he wants. And in particular, we should know. Well, one saint said about Krishna, if you want peace, worship Lakshmi Narayana. If you want bliss, worship Radha Krishna. The implication is very clear. You will have bliss, but you may not have any peace. And similarly, if you want a God who follows all the rules, then you can worship Sitaram is also here. But Krishna doesn't follow any rules. He can do anything. This is what Srimati Radharani said. Yatha tatha va viratha tu lambato. We have to deal with this person. Therefore, we also said, it's easier to deal with his devotees. You worship him through his devotees. If you worship his devotee, he'll be quite happy. No problem. And the devotee is a little softer. Srila Prabhupada could also be very harsh sometimes. I had one of my god sisters. Her husband left her. He stole some money even. He took off, left her. She was only 26. And she went to Srila Prabhupada completely crying. And Srila Prabhupada looked at her the way that Brahma is here looking at Priyavrata. And Prabhupada said, now you are free to take Krishna only alone as your worshipable Lord. He didn't cut her any slack. He said, now just you marry Krishna and you be Krishna's wife now. She was only in her 20s. And sometimes we see that. Anyway, Krishna can be hard. Sometimes a pure devotee can also be uncompromising. With other people, different people had different relationships with Srila Prabhupada. Tamal Krishna Goswami was very often reprimanded by Srila Prabhupada. Shrutakirti was never reprimanded by Srila Prabhupada. Different people are different. Therefore, Krishna says the best yogi, I think, Krishna says, sa yogi paramo mata kaun, jo atma upanyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjna sukham va yadi va dukham. Whoa. Sa yogi paramo mata. The person who is able to empathize with others. He can understand what's in their heart. He knows what they desire, what are their attachments, what are their doubts, how deep is their faith, what are their samskars. Everything a pure devotee can see this. The Prabhupada was of this character. Therefore he knows. We cannot imitate him for that reason because we don't have that adhikar. Srila Prabhupada knew when to blast someone and when to praise someone. So Krishna's a little difficult to deal with, but his devotees are generally easier. We take shelter of the devotees. And sajati ashaya sniktha, devotees who are like us but whose faith is deeper than ours. Advanced devotee means his faith is deeper than mine. If you cannot relate to the person, then you cannot take advantage of the depth of his faith. So sajatiya hona padega. Lekin, if he doesn't have deeper faith than you, it's not enough that you can relate to them easily, because he can't carry you anywhere. So both have to be there. He has to be like you, and he has to be deep in your faith. You take shelter of that person. That is the most comfortable way to go back to Godhead. Devotees therefore say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even said, everyone says, I want to be the servant of 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 the servant. Tvad bhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya idimam smaralokanatha. Kulashekar Maharaj prays. This is the position that I want. Really advanced devotee appreciates the pure devotees in this way. Okay? Anything else? Then we'll stop here. Oh, one more.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The point is that if the devotee surrenders to Krishna, then he accepts Krishna's will or desire to be his pleasure. Just like Radharani says that if Krishna wants me to suffer, this is my bliss. Or Kunti Maharani says that if we suffer and in return we get association with Krishna, then this suffering is our bliss. So they want to suffer if they get association of Krishna.
Yes. Vipado santuta shashvat, for this reason. Kaivalya, this is the real meaning of Kaivalyam. The oneness is not Sayujya Mukti. The oneness is that I don't have any separate interest. Total dependence. Total surrender. Total submission. This is the idea. Okay. Thank you very much. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.